I know it's been a little while, but now that the holidays are over and an incredibly busy time is over, I am now finally getting back on schedule. We're in the new year, and the first video that we're going to be doing and what we're going to be talking about today is going to be about the Hunter dodge ability and its cooldowns, because there's something very interesting about the cooldown of the Hunter dodge now that it's tied to your mobility stat. This both serves as a nerf and a buff at the same time. We of course don't have any more Paragon mods or class ability mods, and this obviously affects all classes, but on the low end of the cooldowns in terms of 0 mobility, we have what is a longer cooldown, I believe, than what was existent previously at 28 seconds, but at the high end we have a cooldown that is faster than the fastest previously, which is now 9 seconds as displayed on the UI at 10 mobility. Perhaps the most compelling thing though about tying the dodge cooldown to the mobility stat is there are so many ways to increase your mobility stat with different invisible bonuses, and what I mean by invisible is that they will not appear on the UI when you're looking at your build and your mobility stat. The TLDR of this video is that yes, many of these bonuses, these invisible bonuses that are not reflected in the mobility stat, do actually affect and alter your dodge cooldown. We'll generally be using tier 5 mobility, which according to our UI is a 20-second cooldown, as our base for all of our tests with all the different hidden mobility boosts. Starting off with lightweight weapons, of course lightweight weapons do increase your mobility. That is the bonus of lightweight weapons, and when you have one equipped and drawn out in game, you do get a faster dodge cooldown. So when I have a lightweight weapon and then I dodge and I wait to get my dodge back, it's a 17-second cooldown. With Mida multi-tool, an exotic weapon known for having a lightweight trait to it, does actually also reduce your dodge cooldown when you have it drawn out, similarly to the lightweight weapons would normally, reducing it to 17 seconds from 20 seconds at our tier 5 base. Now, although Mida multi-tool and Mida mini-tool do have stackable bonuses and a synergy when used together for different bonuses like sprint speed and mobility, they actually don't make any difference in terms of your dodge cooldown when they're used together from what I could tell. So using either Mida multi-tool or Mida mini-tool still just got you that 17-second cooldown. This one might surprise some, but Chaperone actually does have a lightweight trait to it, I believe, because when you have it drawn and you are waiting for your dodge cooldown, you actually do get your dodge back in 17 seconds from that tier 5 base mobility, which would normally be 20 seconds, therefore meaning it's increasing your mobility, which is really interesting. The traction mod on boots gives you a +5 visible bonus to mobility, but another +10 bonus that is not reflected in the stat UI. I brought my mobility down to 4 for this test to see if I'd get the same cooldown as a tier 5 mobility, so 20 seconds, what we've been using for as a base throughout the whole video, and this was the case, therefore meaning that the full bonuses of traction are definitely affecting the dodge cooldown. This isn't exactly a mobility buff, but I thought I'd cover it anyways. Perpetuation is a class item mod that you can use to reduce your class item cooldown. Using it when combined with our tier 5 20-second cooldown base, it gave me an 18-second cooldown, and you can stack these, but it does give you diminishing returns. Honestly, at tier 5 I noticed a very tiny difference. I think it was maybe 0.5 seconds. A lot of these numbers that I'm using, I'm really rounding just to make the most sense of when I time them, but it was maybe a 0.5 second difference. Dragon Shadow is a very interesting exotic, and its ability is that after dodging you reap a bunch of benefits, one of which is giving you a significant boost to your mobility. Previously this was +5 mobility. In this new system, that's the equivalent to 5 tiers worth of mobility, or 50 mobility. Of course the question is, does this affect your dodge cooldown? And the answer is yes. If you are running 5 mobility, you do get boosted all the way to 10, and you do get the fastest cooldown possible with Dragon Shadow while its perk is active and giving you that mobility boost. Oddly enough, I don't know if this was a mishap with my timing or what, but I noticed that the fastest cooldown, even when I manually put my mobility to 10, was actually around 11 seconds, maybe a little less than that, rather than 9 seconds. But anyways, Dragon Shadow got you to that point of roughly 11 seconds, maybe a tiny bit less for your dodge cooldown. And this exotic isn't exactly a mobility boost either, but again, I thought I'd cover it as it does affect the dodge cooldown. Frosties, when used with the tier 5 cooldown base, so the 20-second base that we've been using, it does reduce it to 11 seconds, which is the fastest or equivalent to tier 10 mobility, as I shared just now. So I did want to take a moment to talk about these different bonuses and stacking them and how exactly stacking them works. So lightweight weapons, Mida, Chaperone, and legendary lightweight weapons, Traction, and Dragon Shadow are all mobility bonuses which can be stacked to achieve a higher hidden, meaning not displayed in the UI, mobility level in game. Frosties and Perpetuation reduce your dodge cooldown but are independent and not tied to the mobility stat. As I mentioned quickly, Dragon Shadow boosts your mobility by 5 tiers roughly, and it would also appear that the lightweight weapons boost your mobility by maybe 1.5 or 2 tiers, and as I mentioned, Traction also gives you that visible plus 5, invisible plus 10, so 1.5 tiers of mobility. All of these are stackable to reach higher mobility levels without actually having to invest in the mobility stat, but these together will not exceed 10. So if Dragon Shadow's perk gives you plus 5 tiers of mobility and you're using tier 7 mobility, you're not going to jump to this hidden tier 12 mobility. You're just going to get tier 10 mobility. I mentioned Frosties and Perpetuation working independently of the mobility stat, so yes, using 10 mobility with Frosties and sprinting for the perk active on Frosties will give you a 6-second dodge cooldown. Perpetuation and 10 mobility gives you roughly a 10-second dodge cooldown, and stacking 2 Perpetuation with 10 mobility gets you roughly a 9.5-second dodge cooldown. Perpetuation times 2 plus Frosties and 10 mobility gives you the fastest dodge cooldown, I believe, of 5.5 seconds. So I think that's all there is to say about the dodge cooldown and all the different hidden mobility buffs in the game and how it positively affects your dodge cooldown. So perhaps you don't have to invest so much mobility to still get the cooldown and level of mobility that you're looking for. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, you can catch me on Twitch. I stream pretty frequently, nearly every day, twitch.tv/Drewskys. Hope to see you guys there. But either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.